Hey, it's the Chief bonding with board games and RPGs. This is a live Chiefs vlog. So this is just me chatting about what I've done, what I'm doing, and hopefully what I'm about to do. So we'll let some people slide on in here for a little bit. What I usually do, I'll cover what I'm going to talk about, then I'll end up covering it again, just because some people will roll in. So we're going to talk about Assault. So you'll see this is the Assault here, but I'm in the midst of a screen share, so I'm going to show this right now as well. And let me get my face over here somewhere. You can see this is live on Gamefound right now. So I've just cut a little section here, and this is Sicily, 1943. So you've got the United States coming in. You've got all these geomorphic boards. Let me get rid of my welcome sign so you can see a little bit more. There we go. So you can see the box cover down at the bottom kind of right, along with the rule book, along with some of the charts and the tables, and you roll dice in this game. And you can see if you go all in, it will cost you €135. But Assault Sicily 43 and Gela Beachhead, I believe. Boom, Gela Beachhead. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. Let me come back to me fully. Boom. We will. Hello, that is correct. Let me come down. Hello, never fear. Just put never. Boom. That's right. I wanted to do a vlog today. So I wanted to just come in and talk about a few things that are going on. And we had boom, and we had boom, and we'll let some other people come in, and I'll do roll calls as you come in. If you comment, wow, not a comment, but a comment, I will end up just showing it. We'll work that in as we go. What else are we talking about today? I've done an unboxing, but I still have to edit it, and it's Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game, second edition. I backed this on Kickstarter probably 2.5 years ago. No, more than that. I want to say it was pre-pandemic, so it might be, wow, 3.5 years ago. And it's finally come out. It's quite a big board game with a very odd and long box. I love this art that's on the cover, and then it goes a little cartoony on the inside. But if you watch the unboxing, which I will edit probably today, you'll see the possibilities here. I backed this way before I backed Twilight 2000, the 4th edition from Free League, the role-playing game, because of course this harkened back to the 1980s, where I was into kind of that fiction Red Dawn stuff that was around post-apocalyptic. And I thought this board game would scratch the itch. What's funny is RPGs are now scratching that itch. Let me see some of the other comments. Never fear. How's your IRL Maze Rats game going? In real life, going well. We can talk about that a little bit as well. I wanted to also talk about, and I will share the screen later, Never fear, just PDF the chart that we're going to be using in Maze Rats. So real quick, what we're also going to talk about is we will be talking also about Mutant Year Zero. I also have to edit a unboxing of this book, Gen Lab Alpha. Think Rocket Raccoon, Guardians of the Galaxies. These are animals that have been experimented upon, and they walk upright, and they can grasp weapons, and they've got a mutation. Boom, boom, boom. I have not reviewed Elysium yet, which is really interesting. Let me show you something here. Elysium is like an underground society that when everything went bad, they retreated to their vast underground complex. This is Elysium 1. And there they survived. And it gets a feeling of, you can even see the cover here. So again, I haven't unboxed this yet. I have to film that one still. And but it gives you this feeling, oh boy, I'm forgetting the name of it. It was an old sci-fi TV show where the people were underground and you would just voluntarily give up your life, like when you turn 30 or something. And they were told that it was still a apocalyptic hellhole up above ground and that you couldn't leave. Logan's Run. That's what I'm thinking of, Logan's Run. So it's kind of like that. They've been lied to, and there's all this conflict that can go on down inside this huge, vast cavern of space. But again, I haven't fully looked at it. I still have to do an unboxing. It's really neat how Mutant Year Zero is the engine that runs Twilight 2004, my Blade Runner series I did, along with a bunch of other games, Forbidden Lands. Yet this system they've built, this world they've built, is really interesting and odd all at the same time. Let's see what we got here. When is season 2 going to start? Good question. That's my Twilight 2000. I said I would start filming that sometime in November. And I've got a big family Thanksgiving thing, so that's the last part of November planned. If all goes well, I will hopefully film that early November, get the first episode edited, and get it out near the end. Maybe when family's here, it'll drop. I'll basically be taking a week or 2 off just to prep, and then when the family's all over here, they'll be coming from different states and things. So that will be fun. We'll be following the orphan. The other thing I am going to talk about, which Never Fear is involved in, is he's playing in a live Maze Rats that I'm running here on the show. And it's really taken off. Let me share a quick screen real quick. I think I can pull this up. I'm going to have to drop the other one if it'll let me. And then I'm going to come in and share this one. And there we go. Okay. And so this is a PDF or a chart that Never Fear just made for me. So now I get this idea from the Dungeon Masterpiece. It's a way of coming up with how you would randomize maybe events or things or characters. So you would actually read this kind of left to right. So the rival monastery, the regional baron. So here's what happened real quick. And I will circle back to this as well. The live Maze Rats campaign, I just wanted to familiarize myself with Maze Rats and kind of get a feel for it. And Never Fear came in and was running a character named Finn the Peddler, and it's just grown. So Maze Rats, I don't have the pamphlet down here, but I just keep a little track of it here. And I'm going to do not only this upcoming live show coming on probably next Sunday, but I want to do a catch up for everybody. We're starting to get folks that are watching the past live shows because they're always posted, and they're slowly coming up with where we're at. But I wanted to do a little synopsis of the prior shows so that people have an idea of the ground that's already been covered. Now, hopefully they'll still go watch the further shows, so it'll just be a little snapshot. But what this individual piece of charting is Dungeon Masterpiece talked about how you can bring to life in a very odd and unusual way a event, or in this case, this is a raid. We were given a task that we're going to have to create a raid for an abbot of a monastery called the Brothers of St. Fiona. They have holy tears. I won't go into all of that, but we've gotten the holy tears, but we have to fulfill a raid for this abbot. So the very cool thing you do when you sit down is you think of very straight linear things. So what is the group? Well, we might have to raid a rival monastery. And then you just think very logically, what would that mean? Well, if you slide over to that next column right across to the right, you see the number 1, which is recover stolen tears. So the premise is some rival monastery stole some tears from the Brothers of St. Fiona, which is hilarious because that's what one of our other player characters, Chadwick wanted to just steal them. And then if you look down at the bottom column, you can imagine if this just went across to the right, that would also be politically powerful. So this would be a politically powerful group. Now that would be a straightforward, hey, there's a rival monastery and you have to go steal back the tears that they stole from us. But be careful, they're very politically powerful. So all you do when you do one of these charts is you come up with 6 different groups. So I came up with rival monastery, a regional baron, brigands, a brothel, the bear snake. That's a go check out both episode 1 and 3, where Finn the Peddler saves the day with this creature called a bear snake, or 6 a tomb. So the idea was, where might a raid happen? It's one of those 6 things. Well, then what would we be looking for in one of those 6 things? And as you go across, you get, well, recover stolen tears. If we were at a regional baron, maybe he stole a relic, like a piece of a bone or something from St. Fiona. So recover the relic of St. Fiona. Well, if we were dealing with brigands, what might they have done? They might be victimizing the town folk. And the monks aren't able to fight that, but they can sure trade some holy tears for it. What about a brothel? What's going on at a brothel? Well, we need to rescue the abbot's niece. Well, that makes sense. The niece has fallen into ill repute, and she needs to be rescued from these folks. Sounds like a mission we would do. What about the bear snake? Render it useful. Well, that's pretty odd. But there's a cool factor on this. Never Fear, who's in the chat here. Never Fear, actually, when we killed the bear snake, episode 3, he recovered some bear snake eggs. So it's possible that the render useful might be bear snake venom or bear snake skin, or the bear snake eggs, which would be very cool because Finn already has, here he's put up a graphic, he already has some bear snake eggs. What was funny was, in my original chart, as I wrote this out, I wrote bear snake eggs. But you're going to see, if you randomize this chart, which is what we'll be doing live when we play, you could end up with some really weird results. So I just said render useful, which makes for a funny result as well, I'll tell you about. And then you would just, if we were going to the tomb, we would be recovering a relic. So there's a tomb, and we're going to recover a relic there. Maybe it's St. Fiona's tomb. Who knows? Who knows? So there's still some room for interpretation. But then you would extrapolate out the consequence, like a negative consequence for what we're doing. So again, the rival monastery, recover stolen tears, they're politically powerful. Or the regional baron, recover the relic of St. Fiona, they're guarded. It's a guarded castle. It's heavily guarded. It's going to be difficult to get in and out of. The brigands, they're victimizing townfolk, but surprise, surprise, the abbot wants us to kill them. The brothel, we're just supposed to rescue the abbot's niece, but if we do so, the complication is they're, of course, tied in to Balthazar, who's this demonic underworld leader that we're actually trying to fight and get the holy tears to fight. Well, Balthazar will become alerted, or could become alerted. The bear snake, render useful, hive of bear snakes. So all of a sudden, we're faced with a huge threat of a bunch of bear snakes. Tomb, recover the relic, and cursed. So real quick, while we're here, what's really interesting is we'll get in there, and Never Fear is going to roll. And he's going to roll randomly 3 6-sided dice. So he can roll. I'll give you one that, let's just say he rolls brigands. So he rolls a 3. But then let's say he rolls a 6. So it would be the brigands, and then the abbot wants us to recover a relic that the brigands have. And then he could roll that 5 on that last chart, which would be, but there's a hive of bear snakes there. Or, he wants us to kill all the brigands. Or they're in a guarded castle, the brigands. So you get this random thing. Now, I got a real funny one because I ran a bunch of I was just rolling on this, just seeing what some things were coming up. And I ended up rolling a 4, so I got a brothel. But then I rolled a 5, which was render useful. I was like, what? And I've got this character, Chadwick, who's basically a bad character. And I was thinking Chadwick would be like, hey, yeah, we got to render the brothel useful. I'm thinking, what? But then I think I'd rolled a kill them. And I was like, oh my God, you can roll a 4 brothel. You could roll a 5 render useful, and then you could roll a 3 kill them. And I would be like, oh my God. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be interpreted the way I did, but I thought that is horrible and dark. So what is render useful? It could be you rescue all of them from this life of debauchery. And those that don't turn to the faithful monastery, you kill them. Still dark. So you end up with these really bizarre things that surprise me, who's running the game, and surprise the players, and might extract quite a toll for you to fulfill the raid. we said we would fulfill this raid, whatever this raid is. We didn't know in the show. I left that episode saying, hey, I'll go create, whatever it is. And then I thought I needed to chart it like this. And I was like, oh my. But you could end up with some pretty straightforward things. Now, first of all, you could even, honey, maybe. I don't know what that is, but hello. Hello, cardboard casualty. You could just, first of all, you could roll 111 and you end up with a rival monastery, recover the stolen tears, and they're politically powerful. It still works. The odds are you're not going to roll right down that line, though. So it creates some very interesting things that will surprise me. And nobody thinks that we're on rails. I'm not planning this out. It's organically coming to life, which is exactly what Never Fear set up here. Wolfgang is in. Wolfgang, we will be talking more. You can see in the background, I have the assault box in the background where I'm at. Boom, right over there. And we'll talk more about, I already showed a screenshot of your ongoing Gamefound. Nice to see you're talking about my actual project. Yes, it's one of the things we're talking about. And then there's also some stuff I've got getting ready to come out, like I just did a filming of this. And then, of course, I'm doing the ongoing live role-playing show. So we'll talk about everything I'm doing. Let's see some of the comments. Super low charge on my Bluetooth. Got it. All right. And then, what is that, a dog? I don't know what that is. So, but we have Assault Games in the house. They have just successfully funded in their first, was it the first 24 hours? Oh, maybe the first 48. Let me share that screen again. Oh, the wolf. Got it. Let me share that and we will come back now that we got everybody in. Where is it? It's not, I got to stop sharing and then I got to come back in and share the other. I've got to share the other screen here. Let me come up and boom, should be coming on now. There we go. So we're going to circle back now that we got more folks in. We'll kind of cover in a little more detail each of the things that I've kind of hinted on here. So first of all, right now you can see I've got Gamefound's page up with the live running currently right now. The Assault Sicily 43. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong there, Wolfgang. Gela Beachhead. Let me get my photo on the side here as well. So you can see some of the geomorphic boards that are in play here. You can see you're going to have ocean and a beachhead. So that's very, very cool. Love the beachhead. You can see that if you go all in, 135 euros. Now there's options where you can get different, you don't have to go all in, so you can pick up some different things. But you can see when you're all in, you're also getting that discount. I believe the discount is still in place. Wolfgang, let me know if something's changed. There was a little discount if you came in early, but that might have been the first 24. I don't know, maybe the first 48. So you can go to their page when this is post live. I'll put a link that will take you to the Gamefound page, and you'll go look in the doobly-doo down below. And that will, the description will tell you where you can link to. But this is awesome because you're coming into 1943, coming into Sicily, and you're going to have American troops here. You can see the cover of the new game. Again, in the background, I have the original Assault, which was dealing with Russia and Barbarossa, Red Horizon 41. So you can see that is in play with all these beautiful maps. Loving those beachheads. These are all double-sided maps with an A and a B side. So let me see what else we got coming down here. Make the main screen bigger. Don't, the background needs to be as big as it is. Okay, got it. We can just take the main screen even bigger. It'll only go like this because of the way I cropped it. So a little bit bigger there. Hopefully you can read it. Hopefully that helps out a little bit. Again, I will in the description below, once we go post show, I will put the link to the Gamefound page here where you can go watch reviews that are already up, or previews, maybe they're called. There's several videos. There's all kinds of detail. You can see down the left margin. You're able to see the rewards that are all here if you go all in. So there's all kinds of information, and there are different pledge values. So the one you see off to the right is not the only one. There are multiple different pledge values. So go take a look at this. If you're interested in the assault system just in general, you can see where I did an unboxing of both the Assault 41 that's behind me and an expansion. And I also go through and do a review as well. So you can go look at that if you want to know that part of the system. But this is funding for the next big box that's coming out, that's Sicily 43 from Assault Games and Wolfgang, German designer, and putting out heck of a game in a very big box. I was going to grab it, but it's too heavy for me to grab with one hand. Big box, you can see in the background. Let's see. Let's come back off of this. We'll come back. All right. Now you can see that. About ripped the whole thing off there. You got to maintain control of that giant box. All right. So just to circle back to some things I've already covered, I have to edit later today, but a Kickstarter that I backed a long time ago, I think 2019, finally fulfilled. And that's Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game, 2nd edition. Also a very big box, you can see here. What was interesting was this reminded me, when it came out, of the Twilight 2000 role-playing game I played in the 80s. And I thought, sweet, board game version. I was not into RPGs when I backed this. This took a long time to fulfill, which is fine. Sometimes Kickstarters do. I was pleased to get it. What's interesting is I'm so deep into the post-apocalyptic Twilight 2000 that I'm not sure this will get much play. It might. It's got a very cool map of the entire United States and a bunch of red hot nuke zones and things. This is New Jersey. But you'll see that when I do the unboxing. There's a ton of stuff in this box. It's card driven. So there's tons and tons of cards. There was one thing that was a little bit negative for me as I unboxed it, and I'll hint at it, but you'll see it when you see it. I love the cover art that's on here. This is kind of that photorealistic. Twilight 2000 did the same thing for its cover. But when you get inside the game, there's a little bit of that, but there's also some way more cartoonish, like you're looking at a 1980s comic book, but it's not nearly as photorealistic as this. And it surprised me a little bit. I wanted all the art to be in this style, but you'll see that when you go and check out the unboxing when I get it done. We're circling back to Mutant Year Zero. There'll be an unboxing of this coming as well. And I've got 2 books from them. So Mutant Year Zero is now a basis for Free League and many of their role-playing games. They'll morph it, they'll tweak it, they'll bend it around a little bit. You even have a whole different company that did a World War II role-playing game, and I'm blanking on the name of it off the top of my head. Never fear, might remember. They're using Mutant Year Zero engine. But the world of Mutant Year Zero, I hadn't messed with too much. The very first book, it's this apocalyptic hellscape where the humans are randomly mutating and getting odd things. Sometimes they help them. Sometimes they're very bizarre. But they're morphing into these odd mutations. This book, Gen Lab Alpha, blends into that with a whole separate area of, it's in the United States, I believe. Yeah, it's in the United States, where animals have been experimented on. Think Rocket Raccoon, Guardians of the Galaxy. And they have their own thing going on in this very cool, looks like a lush land. I want to go to that center island. But the animals are kept in habitats where they're mutated from. And now they're anthropomorphic. I think I finally said that right. I always mess that word up, anthropomorphic. And the way the game works is they're in their own individual tribes, and they're being watched by high-tech drones, robots, all kinds of different weird things, but they start to resist. There's great freedom inside. You can see this is a beautifully walled compound, but oops, it looks open over here. And part of this is there's a whole world to experience just from these tribal animals standpoint. And there's missions in here or scenarios in here that you play through. And then there's the chance that if or once they break out of their paradise, I think it's called Paradise, it's not city, but Paradise Land, that they can now go interact with the very first book of the apocalyptic folks. And you run into these very interesting situations that can happen. Like I said, you work in Elysium, which I've only thumbed through, but they have a lot of high-tech weaponry. I love that book cover, but they're locked into basically think a giant underground city. Think Logan's Run, where they've been told, hey, it's a complete hellscape above ground. We're in our own protected world down here in Elysium #1, and you don't need to go outside. But then it starts to go to hell inside, and you run into a similar situation. But I haven't fully gone through that book yet. So those are unboxings that are coming. And then the very last thing is to come right on back to Maze Rats. I'm going to stop sharing the one screen because I want to bring up the other screen again. Let me pull it up and share. And that one's going to pop up. And now we're into here. And can I put this full screen? Will it matter? No, it just goes over to there. But that's all you need for this one anyway. Let me look at some of the comments that are coming in. Never Fears commenting a lot. Anybody has any questions on what's going on, we can talk about it as well. Let's see. What about your Walking? Okay. What about your Walking Dead series? I got a lot of irons in the fire. I've kickstarted Free League's Walking Dead, and my partner, who does the whiskey show. You can see a couple whiskeys behind me here. I've got a beautiful Japanese down here. I do a whiskey show. It's actually way more popular than my board game show, which is totally fine. I don't care. But my co-host loves zombies. His name's Scott Bruno, and he was my partner when I was a brand new police officer. He'd been on a couple years longer than me. He's now retired. But he was my partner when I first came on, and we became best friends. And so he does the Scotch Test Dummies whiskey YouTube show with me. And he does a little bit of board gaming, mostly with zombie games. He's not a board gamer like me, but I backed The Walking Dead, and I asked him, said, hey, I've got that book, that role-playing game coming in. Would you want to come on the show, and you and I would play a couple characters stuck in Atlanta when the Walking Dead zombie apocalypse starts? And he said, absolutely. So I'm waiting on those books. They should be coming anytime now, and we will film that as well. That'll be fun because Scott's great on camera. We've done hundreds and hundreds of shows for the whiskey. It'll be fun with him jumping onto my show and us rolling through as if we're dealing with the apocalypse from the zombies inside Atlanta. So that will be coming. Let me do a couple more questions and we'll come back to Maze Rats. Maybe focus on fantasy on the channel for a bit. We already had sci-fi with Blade Runner series already. Maybe, but I doubt it. So the fantasy I would love to do Forbidden Lands at some point in time. I've got all their stuff. I purchased all their stuff for Forbidden Lands. I had a buddy of mine that ran me through as a player in that game. And I love that world. That fantasy world is very interesting. Again, it uses the Mutant Year Zero system. And I wouldn't mind doing a solo play of that just to explore it a little bit deeper. And of course, I know the Free League's Mutant Year Zero engine very well now. So that could happen on the fantasy side, maybe. But as Never Fear knows, I've got my Blade Runner, which I love it. If that's episodes there is gaining quicker than my Twilight 2000. And if somebody said, hey, I want you to go back and do another series 2, season 2 with Hack, I would love to. I'm going to let kind of the viewership and how the different shows pop drive who I go to. I would love to do Forbidden Lands. So we'll see. But The Walking Dead is something I'll be able to do with my buddy Bruno, and it'll be a little bit different. And he'll be on set, and it'll be enjoyable for me. So Never Fear says he's biased. He likes his fantasy more than his sci-fi. The Walking Dead part, what I like about it, because I'm not really into zombies as much. It's, again, the apocalyptic nature. Just the mode here are the zombies. The problem in any zombie show is mostly the other humans, and the zombies play like, a driver. Kind of like if it's a nuclear apocalypse, you have all the radiation problems. Well, zombies are your radiation problems. Why Atlanta? Well, the show started in Atlanta. The original Walking Dead started in Atlanta, and I like their cityscape. I know Bruno. Bruno was in the Army as well. And so I told him just my general thoughts. Of course, he'll be able to help drive where we go on the show. But my thought would be that there's some military bases in Georgia, and it would be interesting if we were both some kind of like interesting special forces duo, part of a group that's in Atlanta when the apocalypse starts. Because my thought was people that knew how to handle themselves and had the ability may decide not to go anywhere else. There's a lot of food if you can get in and raid different apartments and stuff in Atlanta. So you could probably live for quite some time. And my idea was, one thing zombies aren't really good at is being dexterous. And so if we decided to live in a posh, True West high rise, it's this giant high rise in downtown Atlanta, and we were able to use the verticality or interesting ways to, it's funny, I had this thought, and then there's a habitat. They don't call it a habitat or an arc, they call it a haven. There's a haven that says a high-rise apartment, and that you could move by ropes from other high rises if you do it right. And I thought, yes, I'd had that thought before. I thought that's an interesting way to live in Atlanta. So I think, although my co-host will have something to do with it, I dig the apocalyptic stuff. Good. So we'll be in Atlanta living in posh, super multi-millionaire apartment at the top of the Truest building with a great view. And all we have to do is clear out that building. That could be a problem in and of itself. And then we can move from building top to building top on various adventures or whatever's going on. And I haven't thought much further than that. My co-host, who is more than adept, will have his own ideas, and we'll just see how that goes. Now, coming back to, and then we'll end up probably starting to wrap this up. I wanted to come back to the screen share. Let me bring her back over. It's already up. Hello. I was looking at the wrong. What am I doing? The screen share that's up is this chart. Now, I've already briefly covered the chart. Have you read World War Z? Yes, I have read World War Z. Trying to think. Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was, what's his name's son that wrote it. Don't bother with the movie. The book is several times better. It is. What I liked about the movie, though, I liked the super fast conversion and how quick the zombies were. That was the special cool element. That rapid change where if you see the fight happening, the people getting bit or changing so fast, that was a cool part of the movie. So back to maze rats, and then I'll come back with a quick little exit. Maze rats is something that Never Fear is involved in. It is a live show I'm doing that's all unplanned. So it simply started, I actually thought the characters we made would probably die pretty quick because maze rats can be unforgiving. But it's become this enjoyable world that's happened. And it's much more like an adventure, an OSR, old school Renaissance adventure that you're just me, myself, even, it's not planned out. It's not like I've made a scenario. It's unfolding as we go. Now, that can be a little bit dangerous in a live show because it's not scripted. I don't know where it's going to go, but that's the enjoyment. That's the fun. Sometimes that's the boredom. So, someone's watching and they're like, blah, blah, blah. It's a talking head on the screen. What are you doing? It's boring. Other folks, though, have caught on. And we've even got other people coming up with characters and things. What is this? Death is still not off the table. Exactly. We could have a total party kill. That's what happens in Maze Rats. Everybody's fairly weak. A couple critical hits and the party's gone. What's interesting, though, is what I love about role-playing and the fact that I can use this medium, StreamYard, to connect. I already ran a Twilight 2000 with a couple folks I knew. Dan Pancaldi does my music on the show. Ron Nicholson is a longtime Patreon backer, supporter, and a board gamer. I wanted to do a show with them, and we were able to connect perfectly. It was great. Maze Rats is different. It's just me on camera, but folks in the chat are commenting. What I've got up on screen right now is we went to a monastery for some holy tears. You'll have to tune in to learn more. And we were told we can have those tears, but we had to do a raid for the abbot. We didn't know what that raid is. So off camera, once that show ended, I came up using Dungeon Masterpiece, Baron's way that you design characters or NPCs, or in this case, a random raid. And so you'll be rolling 3 different 6-sided dice. Never fear, we'll probably end up doing the roll. So is any one of these, the way you make this table is really easy. I just thought of 6 different places that could be raided. Rival Monastery, Regional Baron, Brigands, a brothel, interesting, a bear snake, we've dealt with that in episode 3, and a tomb. And then when you're making the chart, you just go, what will a rival monastery, what would a rival monastery have? Well, the behavior would be, we need to recover stolen tears. They stole some tears from the other monastery. Well, what's the complication? You go to the last chart. Well, they're politically powerful, which is why the abbot can't do it himself. He wants us to do his dirty work. Very simple, or fairly simple, to come up with just what makes sense. Hey, there's a regional baron. He has a relic of St. Fiona. That's the saint that these brothers, the monastery is the brothers of St. Fiona. They want to recover that. They can't do it themselves. So they're going to have us go raid, but it's a guarded castle. So you can see we could roll 2, 2, and 2, and you would get a straightforward, just like I imagined it, raid. The problem is, or the beauty, it's not the problem, it's the chaotic beauty that I don't even know what Never Fear is going to roll. He doesn't know what he's going to roll. He could roll a 4, a brothel. This is what I covered before. It could be brothel. Now you're thinking, a brothel? Well, yeah, turns out the abbot's niece has been, I don't know, she's either a bad child or she was sex trafficked or whatever. We got to rescue the abbot's niece. And the problem is a brothel's tied in with Balthazar, who's this demonic bad guy that we've been fighting for quite some time. And they're going to possibly or definitely alert Balthazar to our presence. Well, that's straightforward. But what if it's a 4, a brothel, and then I rolled this in testing, render useful? How do you render a brothel useful? There's a dirty way, but then there's the saving way. So we could end up trying to save the women of the night. I don't know. But then what if it ends up kill them? Well, what if it ends up brothel, render useful, and kill them? Oh my God. I had that as a potential roll, and I thought if that happened, I think it might be we're trying to render useful the ladies to get out of this brothel, but those that don't turn back to the good, we're supposed to kill them. Would we even take on this raid? Ugh. If that's the qualifier, are we willing to go that far? So it could end up dark and terrible. And I would have never thought of those combinations. So what this chart allows you to do is surprise myself, who's running the game and playing in it, and surprise the players because it's randomized. So that's the beauty of Baron's chart. If you watch Dungeon Masterpiece, I can't remember the exact episode, but he talks about how you create this. You can create it for NPCs. You can create it for people you're fighting. It can be anything. In this case, it's a raid. I mean, you could get, it's a raid into a tomb, and they're victimizing something in the tombs, victimizing the town folk. And there could be a hive of bear snakes. Ugh, sounds terrible. So you can get this real random world that's going on. Let me come back full screen because we're about done. Let me see what we've got here. Fighting isn't quite accurate. Yes. Surviving is probably more so. What else? We go this one. Okay. I want to. Did I get a block? Why won't that come back off? We got a lag there. Sorry. We have not gotten in contact with him yet. Right. I think we were talking to the abbot. I said we were given a raid, but we don't know what the raid is. I said I would figure that out off screen. Not sure what you mean there. More like we ran when we had first contact with his guys. Oh, Baltazar? Yes. But we know he's a bad guy. We're kind of fighting him in proxy. He's not the kind of guy that's going to come at us personally yet, but he definitely tried to get us killed. And if you follow the show, you know that Finn's entire family was killed by Baltazar. So just to circle all the way back around and end the show, in the description, you will see Assault, but it won't be Red Horizon 41, although I believe in that GoFundMe, in that Gamefound, you can get that game as well, I believe, but I'll have a link to the Sicily 43 expansion that's going to be made from that funding on Gamefound. Very cool, plenty to look at. You've seen me talk about the unboxings that are coming your way. I wanted to cover more of Mutant Year Zero and the Gen Lab Alpha, which is Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. These poor creatures, they've been morphed into a Rocket Raccoon type person, and they want their freedom, which is a very cool aspect and a very weird thing to this Mutant Year Zero world. And that's just the start. There's a whole robot section, and they're getting ready to come out with a space station thing. Hopefully I can get all that as well. And we've talked about my upcoming, I'm going to do an unboxing of Fallen Land. Fallen Land will be an unboxing that I've just finished that I have to edit. And then we circled back to Maze Rats. Maze Rats is a little booklet by Ben Milton. It's got a professional thing coming out very soon from, how am I blanking on? I'm blanking on his book that he worked on. Nave. Hello, Nave. And in that, he made a more professional booklet of Maze Rats. And I'm running a live show. Anybody can go watch that show. You can participate if you wish. You can just send a comment in and say, hey, I think I could name that inn, or I know the name of that brothel. What is it? And I kind of peek at the screen to see what you call the brothel. So some people who are watching, they just want to watch. They just want to watch the show unfold, or they watch when it's not live. But if you tune in when it's live, sometimes people are naming things because I can't run it all on my own. It's too much. Some folks will be rolling. Never Fear will make decisions for his character, Finn. I don't run Finn. Never Fear runs Finn. We've got Skull. I call him Richard Skull, but he goes by Dick. Skull is running a character that came to life. We met him in an inn, and his name is Colonel Hemming. And the Colonel was a creature that just came to life right in the midst of the show. And there was a comedic whole thing going on. I actually got a great tip. Somebody tipped the show even because they love that episode so much. But all of a sudden, Skull is now going to be running the Colonel. And that wasn't planned. It just happened. So all these cast of characters are forming. Think if you were playing D&D with all these, I don't play D&D, haven't played since the 80s, but you have this high level character. Well, Maze Rats, what we're doing is if you're playing these characters before they're high level, you're playing them at their genesis and they're coalescing into a group and they're getting their whole backstory as you play. And they're weak and they have some abilities, but they're not superheroes. They can die. And that is what the Maze Rats episode has been. The whole story's unfolding. It's this creative adventure. It's been so much fun. I could play it almost every week. I don't have to edit it, so that's nice. But it's, I'm hardwired in, but it just showed that I've got a weak connection. Let me know, never fear, if it's getting bad or choppy. I just got an alert. Should be coming back up now. Since I'm hardwired in, I haven't had that problem. But Maze Rats has been amazing. I thought I would do 3 or 4 or 5 episodes. We would all get killed, and then that experiment would be over. No, it's gotten awesome. So we've got Chalita. She's a postulant, wants to be a nun, a young girl, very, very godly. And she doesn't get along with Chadwick. They argue like the odd couple. It's awesome. I just love the characters. Yeah, Knave, Tui. My card isn't working on the drive-through role-playing or drive-through RPG site. Interesting. I haven't pulled up. He sent out multiple little additions. I haven't pulled them up to look at. And we'll talk about my in-person table group with Maze Rats here soon. It's okay now, but it lagged previously. Got it. Thank you. I mean, if characters died early on, just roll up new characters. Right. That's the idea. That is the idea. Now, I'll end at 46 minutes here. We'll go into, I've got a live session with folks that are coming in, and we're doing a West Marches campaign. So it's Hexbound, and they're exploring, adventuring, all using Maze Rats as the mechanics. The Maze Rats mechanics or mechanism is light, which is what I wanted. I could see beefing it up maybe in a year. If the same group is still playing and they're like, we want a little more crunch, I think Knave 2E might be that crunch I could bring in, but I haven't even brought that up with them yet. It's so light, though. I think they're going to get to a point where they're like, we want a little bit more. My son's already said, like, hey, I should be able to do more with my agility in combat. I'm like, well, you can. But in Maze Rats, if you're going to do an agility thing, it's a move using your agility that allows you to get into a position where you have an advantage and maybe you're attacking the bad person from behind. So you roll an extra die. And it's funny because he's already asking me for more crunch. He's like, yeah, but I'm so athletic that my abilities should come in with more than just my attack bonuses. I'm like, well, and so it's an interesting system. It's a very simple system by design, but I knew I was biting off a lot with this hex crawling West Marches campaign. So we'll see how it goes. It's still going great. We're meeting once a month. I've even had some people want some extra sessions where I've gone over to their house and we've run a little behind the scenes thing, which is fun. A couple of them are, well, one of them I think was frustrated. They're scared to go down in the depths and they wanted to adventure overland. And some of the overland stuff was a little more boring. I have to spice it up, but it ended up getting spiced up at the end with a random event that made an awesome action scene. And I think they like it. I could tell it was dragging for a little bit. They were just trying to cross a large mountain range to get to the other side. And I thought about just fast forwarding them through, and I started to clip it along, and then we had a random event, which ended up being awesome. So far, so good. It's always a balance. One thing I always do with my players when we're done with a session, how did you like it? What worked? What didn't? Here's your experience. What do you want to do next time? And then they tell me. What was funny was, though, I had one that said they wanted to learn about, we did a little tiny delving of a little place that ended up being like a hidden lab for a siren, a magical using siren was in this little area. And they don't know it. And I don't think any of them watch the show. There's nothing else down there, but there's let's just call it a portal that would allow for some very interesting, dangerous travel. And originally, one of the characters said, I want to go back there. I think there's something further back there. Where did that siren run off to? And I'm like, good idea. Now they don't want to go back there, which is totally their choice. They're not on rails. So they're going overland in this grudging journey through the mountains, which is awesome. There's plenty to do there. But they could have found some interesting things that they may not have wanted to do because it's dangerous, but it's a different route through the mountains, basically. So it's kind of funny. And I can't tell them what they're missing. I thought for sure they were going to go there because one of the characters said, next episode, I want to go back to that place. Got it. Well, they haven't gone back. And so now they're like, what's going on? But they're afraid. They ran into some very dangerous things in another delve, and now they're kind of afraid of delving. So it's like, okay, whatever. Let's see, where are we at here? Would be appropriate to end if we built up characters, but early on, I wouldn't end the show or series. I don't plan on ending it. Even if we had a total party kill, I think I would have characters fleeing before they all died, but who knows? So it's been a lot of fun, and we're developing the world with the city of Windridge and some of the surrounding area now. Maze rats, and what we're doing with the live maze rats, Finn, is Finn. I just called you by your character's name. Never fear, would be awesome. That's funny. You're Finn the Peddler. Finn the Destroyer might be your name soon. And I just called you by your character's name. I don't know if I've ever done that before. Very cool. That's how well you're playing that character. All right. That is a wrap up. Any other questions for me before we leave? I will be doing some editing later today. And there we go. Look at this. Yeah, I called you Finn. That is funny. It's so funny because never fear, he'll type in, what Finn says or what Finn does. And so I'm used to seeing never fear as he pops up like this, but he's talking for Finn. And so it's so funny when I see you, sometimes I'm now thinking Finn. That was cool. I think that's it. Jump into the lives, folks. I couldn't, if I got a huge crowd in there, it was funny. It's not by far, it's not my most popular show, but the people that tune in, like I said, one of the folks that tuned in gave me a $20 tip. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And that person's never chatted in the text line. They've just observed, which is great. And I think they're seeing how we deal with problems in real time and how much fun it is and how loose. That's where Maze Rats is nice. It's kind of loose. Hey, I don't know what's going on. I'm the GM, I'm the ref, but I don't know what's happening. And that's part of the fun because I'm also running characters. But we also got to chop. We can't be lingering around. So let's see what we got here. Looking for the next Maze Rat session and the start of the Twilight 2000 series. Great. Yes. Perfect. Yep. I saw start. I'm going to have to also, I've got to get that Death in Space done. I might film that today. My problem is I got to find a place just to get it in and learning all these different systems. But I've already told myself if I mess up some part of the system, it doesn't matter. I'm getting it played. If we play Maze Rats live again, I would want to play a character that's unlike Finn. Sure. You mean if we play a whole different startup? Yes, I could see that happening. You know what? Hey, who's say Finn lives? Hello. He might pass away. If he hits level 7, he could end up retiring. You can keep playing him, but you can also park him as an NPC somewhere and always come back to him. That being said, if you ever came up with an idea where for some reason Finn wanders off on his own thing, you could start up a new character. We can do literally anything with that live Maze Rats. So, but I love the way the story's unfolding. Finn's becoming a quasi leader of the group, although now we've got the colonel. So love it. Please, folks, check that out. I plan on it'll take me a little work, but I want to do a little synopsis of all the episodes we've done. But I've got my notes, which are good, but I might go back and watch the shows and make a little bit better detailed notes. And some of the shows are an hour long. So I don't know when I'm going to find the time to do that. But I would love to do a catch up because there's some people just popping in now and they're like, I don't know if I want to watch 14 hours. I'm like, I'm with you. I get it. These are long live episodes. But I'll do a little synopsis so anybody that wants to can like kind of get up to speed and start watching mid-season, if you will, although Maze Rats isn't set up as seasons. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that in smaller chunks, like episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. And that way I think that'll be more manageable for my brain. You know, I can watch 3 episodes. They're not all an hour long. Some are shorter. And then I can do a little 25-minute breakdown or a 15 or a 10-minute breakdown. Probably keep it short so that it's digestible. And someone can say, if I really love this, I'll go back and watch the full episode. But that little snippet tells me all I need to know what's going on. So I plan on doing that just so the episodes are a little bit more accessible. That is it, folks. I will sign off now. Thank you, everybody that's come in. We've had several folks popping in, and I've seen the numbers go up and down. Thank you very much, but I'll try to keep this short so people can watch it in post. And don't forget, go check out Assault on Gamefound. It's already funded, but they're stretch goals. And the more little cool things they can add into the box, the better. So see you, everybody. Bye-bye. I will let her whine.